Hey, what is going on, you guys? It's Epic here, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you all my Deathbringer flak build for Borderlands 3. At the time of recording this video, Borderlands 3 is not currently out, so when you're watching this you may have extra skill points, so just bear that in mind. For this build I will be showing off a level 50 flak. The whole point of this build is to be focused around critical hit damage, so without wasting any time, let's jump right into it. So starting off in the Stalker skill tree, I went for Fade Away. Flak cloaks turning invisible, and he can fire 3 shots while cloaked. Each shot is automatically a critical hit. Also, while he's cloaked, he gains increased movement speed and health regen. When I look at this skill, I think of a big cube of marble, because this is the skill that we are going to be sculpting to make better later on in the build. So moving down, I chose Sikkim 1 out of 3 just to advance the skill tree, so I'm not going to go through it. I don't think it's that important, so I don't think you should spec into it. But to the left of it, for self-repairing system, flak will get maximum health increased, and he will also constantly regen health. I want my character to always be regenning health at any given point, so if I need to take a breather in a raid boss battle, he can do so. So I think this skill is really important. Next up, we have Eager to Impress kill skill. Whenever flak kills an enemy, his action skill cooldown time is reduced, and it also reduces even more if his pet kills an enemy. I also went with Overclocked 5 out of 5 here. Flak gains increased fire rate and gets even more fire rate after reloading. This again you're going to see come in handy a little later on. And I say later on, but rather right now, as Gorillas in the Mist will be our first augment, and it makes it so that Fade Away no longer ends after flak attacks at the cost of his critical hit damage and Fade Away duration being reduced. And that may sound bad, but if you notice in the Fade Away skill, every shot he fires is a critical hit. So yes, we're going to be losing critical hit damage, but for the duration of the skill we'll be able to fire constant critical hits. Match that with Overclocked and we are going to be outputting a ton of bullets. Next up, I went with Lick the Wounds. When flak is in fight for your life, his pet will attempt to revive him. Really great skill, really going to help you if you're playing solo. Next up, the Fast and the Furious. While above half health, flak's gun damage and movement speed is increased. And while I wouldn't usually go with these kind of skills, I do like the percentages we're getting here. We have 25% in gun damage and 10% in movement speed, so I would recommend fully speccing that. Next up, the second augment is Unblinking Eye. Successive hits on the same target increase flak's critical hit damage per hit, and it can stack up to 75%. I chose this because if you couldn't already tell, this guy is going to be a complete DPS master. Next up, we have Rage and Recover kill skill 5 out of 5 by the way. After killing an enemy, flak and flak's pets regen health for a few seconds. Really not a big increase here, but I went for it because I really wanted to get his capstone skill here at the bottom, which is the Power Inside. Flak and flak's pets gain increased damage when flak activates an action skill, and if flak is at full health, the increased damage is doubled. Next up, in the Hunter tree, I've only specced into one skill, and I've done it 3 out of 3 in Leave No Trace. When flak scores a critical hit, there is a chance for 1 ammo to be added to their magazine. And I know I'm going to get a lot of crap in the comments for not choosing Two Fang, but I really don't think it's that important to where I have to go through a ton of skills to get to it. Next up, in the Master tree, we have Ferocity 5 out of 5. Flak's pet deals increased damage. Again, this stacks up to 50%, and I'm sure we're going to get class mods to increase that, so I went with that, as well as 3 out of 3 in Persistence Hunter. Increases flak's gun damage and action skill duration. 3 out of 3 in He Bites. When flak's pet takes damage, the pet returns some of that damage to the attacker, and I want you to pay good attention to that skill because I have a very good idea, and if it works come release, this could be the most OP build ever. Psycho Head on a Stick 1 out of 1. Hunter kill skill. Whenever flak kills an enemy, their pet gains increased movement speed and damage for a few seconds. Really not that important of a skill, but it's a 1 out of 1, and I just can't resist specking into them. Now, here is where it gets interesting. 3 out of 3 on Hive Mind. When flak takes damage, a portion of all damage he takes is shared to his pet instead. Now, if If the damage shared to his pet activates the He Bites skill, allowing the pet to return that damage to its attacker, that is going to be very, very powerful. If not, then it's still a pretty decent skill, but I'd really like to see that combo. And lastly, 4 out of 5 is Barbaric Yorp. Increases the power of pet bonuses granted to Flak. And just like in the last video, I totally forgot, I do take the Guard Skag pet. Flak is joined by a loyal Skag companion, which will increase Flak's damage. You can also issue an attack command, which will cause the Skag to vomit acid onto enemies. But the reason why I went with this Skag over the Spider and Ojaba is because it increases his damage, which is very important for this build. I really want him to be a raid boss destroyer, and with this build I am very confident he will be just that. But I want to hear your guys' opinion. What do you think of this build, and what is your build going to be going into release day? Let me know in the comments below, and on that note, thanks for watching and have a nice day.